Hey there. All right, so let me show you how action types and functions work in Builder. So every action that you see in the actions panel, so if I go here and I go to flows, and then I'll just open one of my flows. So every one of these actions here, these are actually created from what we call action types, and each action type has one or more JavaScript functions that execute inside of it. So let's go take a look at what that looks like. So over here in the left panel, I can click on action types, and that will pop up my list of action types in this project. I also have functions and libraries. So this is where all of the code is going to exist for each of these actions. So let's do one that's pretty simple, like let's look at the set variable. Okay, so there's an action type called set variable, and I can see its properties, we can see what its input arguments are, and this all translates into what the UI inside of the studio looks like. So when someone adds a set variable action, these are the three arguments that they're going to see. Now this also has one or more functions. In this case it's using the set page variable function, and inside of there it's defined as a set of input arguments and output arguments. So the set page variable function has some input arguments. One is for the name of the variable, another is for the value of that variable, and the target page of the variable. So the output of this JavaScript function is actually just setting the variable, but other functions might actually have outputs like a get data or something along those lines, where the output is the actual data. So if we go take a look in the functions list and we look at set variable over here, so we'll do set page variable, which is that one. I can see the inputs are defined. If there are any outputs, those would be defined. And then in the JavaScript, you can just see what's there. And all of this is editable by you. So these are the base toolkit that comes with every project, but you can modify this in your project. Any of this is modifiable for you. So let's take a look at one other example that has a little more to it in terms of the steps. So let's take a look at the API endpoint get and set and variable. So this will have a couple of things that it does. So the first thing it does is this HTTP call, where it uses the values. Some of them are static. You can see like these are static values that it's doing, but some of them are coming from the data. So this content, actually this is actually misconfigured. It looks like it is, but it's actually getting that content from the post body here. And then the set page variable, what it does is it uses the output from the other function that was called HTTP call. It uses that output and it takes the content output argument, and you can even add paths here, and then it uses that to set the variable. So this is using that set variable function after the HTTP call function runs. So in this way you can actually define different functions to run after each other and to use each other's output arguments inside the action. And then what that looks like over here, if I go and do API call set in variable, to the end user over here, they're just filling out all the arguments, but what actually occurs whenever this executes is it takes all the input arguments, runs the first function, takes the output of that function into the next function, and does whatever that function is going to do. So you can cascade as many of these as you'd like. You can use our functions, you can modify them, you can add new ones and use those. It's totally wide open for you.